value does your righteousness hold if it stands in the wrong place? Think of yourself, a person whose beliefs are correct, whose heart recognizes truth, whose worship is sincere, whose actions in isolation are noble. Yet, when the world divides into the oppressed and the oppressor, into the truth and the falsehood, the ground beneath your feet does not testify for you. You know who is right, you know who suffers, you know whose side Allah will command you to support, and still you remain standing in a space where your presence strengthens the wrong and your absence weakens the right. Not because you intended injustice, not because you supported tyranny, but because you allowed your neutrality to become a shield for falsehood. If you want to understand this principle, that how much your position matters, then the Battle of Badr holds your answer. What have you really been told about it? You were told it happened on 17th Ramadan, that 313 stood against 1,000, that help came from the heavens, and when you are on the right path, Allah helps you unexpectedly. And after that, silence, right? We turned Badr into a story, not a mirror, into history, not a daily war of your own soul. But Badr was not an event, it was a template. It was not a chapter that finished, it was a manual handed to you. Let me tell you the part of Badr you were never told. Everyone knows who fought in Badr, but do you know who didn't fight? A group of young men from Quraysh. Youth, strong, sharp, and secretly drawn to the message of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They called a private meeting and said, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam attracts us. His words touch our conscience. We cannot raise our swords against him, but we cannot stand with him openly either. So they devised a plan. They said, when the Quraysh march out, we will walk in the front rows, so they think we are loyal. But when the battlefield arrives, we will slowly step back and withdraw. So, on the morning of Badr, they walked confidently in the front ranks, chanting, we are with you, we are with Quraysh. Quraysh felt powerful. They said, look, our youth are with us. But when they reached the battlefield, those youth began to walk backward and backward until they stood far away spectators. They didn't lift a single sword, they didn't harm a single Sahabi, they just watched. And when Quraysh collapsed and at the end 70 were captured, these youth came forward and said, we did nothing wrong, ask anyone, we didn't fight you, we were only watching. The Seerah records that the prisoners of Badr were brought before Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and decisions were made regarding ransom and consequences. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam heard them and said, Hamza will judge your matter. Now imagine Sayyidina Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib, the lion of Allah, standing before those who claimed neutrality. He says, you strengthened the enemy with your presence. You weakened the Muslims with your absence. Because of you, Allah had to send a miracle because numbers were against us. If you had stood with us, the miracle would not have been necessary. Their families were told about the ransom. They were not treated as Muslims. Now, tell me, isn't the message clear? That neutrality in the face of injustice is participation in injustice. Now, connect this to your life. This is not a story, this is a diagnosis. Because today, you are those youth of Quraysh. Yes, you, me, us, the Ummah. From a distance, we talk. You scroll, you shake your head, you feel sad, you discuss politics while sipping chai, you post stories, you argue in comments, you watch genocide unfold as a spectator. But in action, we step back, we withdraw, we watch. We stand far from the oppressed and say, I didn't harm anyone, I didn't support the wrong. But Hamza's verdict echoes. You strengthened the oppressor with your silence and weakened the oppressed with your absence. So, Badr is not something you read, it is something you relive. And understand one thing clearly, it is not enough that your thoughts are correct. It is not enough that your intentions are pure. It is not enough to say, I am against injustice, while your feet remain planted on the wrong ground. Truth is not validated by how you feel about it, but by where you stand when it is threatened. So, ask yourself tonight, are you among the 313 who stood, or are you among the youth who spectated?